This is a video all about sessions in GoGuardian. So sessions is going to be what you essentially launch or you start when you want to be able to see all of your students' Chromebook screens all at once. And there's a lot of really cool, really useful features within sessions. So I don't have a full class of students on their Chromebooks right now, so it's going to look a little bit different for me than for you when you're actually, in the classroom or even teaching remotely and you're using GoGuardian. But still important to point out all of the cool tools that GoGuardian has. So when you are ready to start a session, I'm just going to take my sample class here. Ready to start a session. I'm ready to see what's going on their screens. I'm just going to simply click on the class tile, and it's going to show me all of the previous sessions that I've run too. So you can see I've been playing around with this a little bit, and I can click on one if I want to see it in more detail. But anyway, this is about starting a new session. So what we're going to focus on is on the right-hand side here where it says select an end time to start the session for sample. It's automatically set to 45 minutes. You can adjust that as needed, and you can determine whether or not you want to apply to a scene to this session from the get-go. Remember, you can change that as you go. You can add a scene, create a scene, take a scene away. And remember, scenes are the ways you sort of set parameters on what you either want your students to not be able to go to or only be able to go to, limit the number of tabs that they have open, all that good stuff. If you can, if you want to exclude students from a session. It's really no big deal if a student is home one day or not in school and they're still in your session even though they're absent. You maybe want to exclude students from the session if maybe they've gotten pulled out, they're working with another teacher, and you don't want to really mess with the parameters of their Chromebook if you're applying a scene and they are with another teacher. So anyway, if this is all set, you're going to hit start session. And again, this is going to look a little bit different for you when you have, all of your students and their Chromebooks up and running, but I can still show you the basics here for sure. So you'll see here, it says sessions. Sample is what I'm currently viewing. If you have multiple sessions running at once, you would actually see them up here. You can quickly update the time. So if you need to extend the session or set a new end time, you absolutely can. This is where you'll see all of their screens. So every single student, as long as they're using a district managed device, their district Chromebook, you will see their screens happening in real time. You can easily sort your students so you can find them faster. You can adjust how you view their screens. This is like what I was saying before, where it's, if you decide later, you start a session, I want to apply a scene, you can create it or apply it right here or remove it. So if I wanted the project scene, and again, that sets parameters on what they can and can't use. You should look at the creating a scene video if you're interested in that. I could go back to none. Timelines is really cool because, and again, this won't be able to show you really how cool it is, but you'll literally see a visual timeline minute by minute of what a student is on when they're on their Chromebook. What's their active tab? What tabs are on in the background? How long a student is on that tab for? If for some reason you needed to take a screenshot of the student's screen, whatever they're on, you can do that and it will automatically populate in here. So when you have a student that you want to take a screenshot of their screen, you would simply click on their little tile and click the little camera button and it would screenshot it for you. This is a really cool new feature just in time for this new school year and all the challenges we're going to face during it. But this is a present to class, almost like you're pushing something out to their Chromebooks and their screens, and they'll be able to see it. So it has a bunch of different things you can toggle on or off depending on what you want to present to your class and what you're doing. So you can enable the camera so your students will be able to see your face while you present. Enable your microphone, so speak to your students while you present. And you'll notice right here, it doesn't go the other way, so it doesn't allow your students to speak to you. present your screen so your students would see a live view of the website or application you have open, and they can't close what you share. And you can also lock students to your presentation. So it will prevent your students from viewing any other tab until you stop presenting. So that's a pretty cool feature. Over here, we have the chat feature on and off, and you'll also be able to set audio alerts for yourself so you can hear like a chat ding if a kid needs help, or desktop notifications. This is kind of like, almost you can think of it like AI. It'll highlight students if they're browsing a website that's not related to the class subject. So the class subject is like something that you set when you set your classroom, whether it's an English class. So that's why it has that drop down here. So it tries to say like, oh, well, this is a science class and this person is on something not at all science related. And you can set the sensitivity. Again, because you have the ability to see in live time what's happening on all their screens, and you'll get like a rundown of everything that happened in the session, you don't necessarily need to turn on off-task alerts, but it might be helpful as you gain a sense of which students are maybe a little bit more likely to wander to sites that they shouldn't have. So those are your, that's kind of like the basic tools that you can use while you're in a session, while you have a session up and running. When the session is over, obviously it will time out on its own. You can see I have 41 minutes remaining, but if class were over and I didn't need those 41 minutes anymore, I'm going to come over here and end session, and I'll confirm it. And I'll get that rundown of everything that happened during the session. It's going to be a lot more information when you have all different students, in the session and on their Chromebooks. But I would see this like very, very detailed, very visual timeline and screenshots that I took, and then a command log if I had to issue any commands during the session. So if I had to force a student to close a tab or open a tab or something like that, that would all be in here, easy to see. So that's a little overview of what it is or what it's like to run a session in GoGuardian. Again, it's going to look a little bit different for you once you have more students and they're going to all these different websites and places on their Chromebook.